Awesome. So as you start to settle in, begin to ground down through your sitting bones. Maybe soften your gaze or close your eyes completely. And we're just going to take a few breaths here to ground down and arrive. And see if you can encourage your breath to expand your rib cage nice and wide on the inhales. And allow that softening as you exhale. Do that a few times, perhaps breathing just through your nose. Know that you can always exhale out to your mouth. And you might take a moment and just pause between your breaths in and your exhales. Take a few more of those slow, intentional breaths. And perhaps this opportunity to just check in and observe the tone of the mind, the quality of the breath, and any sensations in the body. Take one more breath in. And as you exhale, completely lower the chin to your chest. And then start with a few half neck circles. And you're encouraged to move at your own pace here. That means pausing and lingering and just taking a few breaths. That's great. If that means expanding into full neck circles, lifting your chin, doing your best to elongate all sides of the neck, especially as you look up. And rewind the opposite direction. And you can take a few breaths with your ear toward the left shoulder and right hand floating by your side. You can play with some flexion and extension at the wrists, the fingers up to the sky and down to the ground. Maybe adding circles with your wrist. You might make a fist as you draw those circles. Maybe notice how it feels to tuck your thumb in and then wrap your fingers around the thumb and then spin. You can also add those rotations from higher up in the arm as you reach through the fingers. You're welcome to stay here or bring the opposite arm behind your back and grab your forearm. As you do that, you're going to lift the center of the chest, maybe float the chin. Option, add little movements in the jaw, or perhaps slower, larger movements with your head. You're doing your best to create space across the upper chest and collarbones. And a few more of those nice, long, and slow breaths. With an exhale, go ahead and release hands back to the lap, chin to center. We're going to switch sides, so ear to the opposite shoulder. Opposite hand reaches away from you, perhaps flexing and extending at the wrist. And again, you can play with circles, perhaps with a hand curled into a fist. You can try that slight variation with the thumb tucked in and fingers wrapped around the thumb as you draw those circles. Help target slightly different muscles. And maybe spin the upper arm bone, spreading the fingers, feeling those sensations from the fingers all the way into the neck. And if you wish, other arm's going to come behind the back, grabbing your forearm, encouraging your shoulder blades to slide down, center of the chest to lift, maybe the chin and the gaze as well. And then you choose little movements of the jaw, slightly larger movements with your head. And the entire time you're peeling the front of the shoulders open, encouraging that spaciousness in the upper chest. One more complete breath. And as you breathe out, release hands back to the lap, chin to chest. With an inhale, we're lifting the gaze all the way to the sky. And exhale, lower back down toward the ground. One more time, deep breath in as you look all the way up. And exhale, chin back to your chest. This time adding a seated cat-cow. So arch the back, maybe glide the arms tighter into the sides of the body as you lift the chest. And on the exhale, tuck your tailbone, pull the belly in, perhaps lean back as you grab the shins or the knees. And can touch you to accentuate that opening in the upper back. And then maybe you go back and forth with your breath. Inhale, arch the back, lift the chest. And as you exhale, find that rounding and curling in the spine. You can always hold either of those shapes. We'll continue for a few more cycles of breath. One more deep breath in. Complete breath out. Find a neutral spine, and then think about drawing circles with your rib cage. We're going to rock over to one side, lean forward with the heart, come over to the opposite side, and then pull the belly in around the back. And continue with circles a few times one direction. You can choose how large they are, the speed of your circles. You might be rocking from one sitting bone to the other to encourage that movement. This can be a nice massage for the internal organs as well as warming up the spine. When you're ready, go ahead and reverse directions. Doing your best to lead with the heart, the upper chest. And then begin to make those circles smaller and smaller until you find that point of equilibrium. And you can reach up on the next inhale, really lengthen through the tips of the fingers as you ground down through the sitting bones. And we'll take a spin to the left. Arms can stay wide like a T, palms facing away from the body. You can look toward the back hand. Notice how much space you can create between your vertebrae on the breaths in. And maybe spin a little deeper on your exhale. Use the next inhale to reach up and face forward. And then go ahead and rotate the opposite direction. Arms stay wide like a T shape, gazing toward that back hand, letting the body follow. And then inhale, reach up once again, face forward. Let's rock over to one side and pause there. Do your best to expand those muscles between your ribs using your breath here. You can open the chest away from the earth. Maybe add those circles with your top arm, palm to the sky at the top. And then you're flipping the palm back down as you reach all the way across. One thing to be mindful of is notice where that space between the bottom shoulder and your ear. You can bend the bottom arm, relax that shoulder, and create a little more space and softening. A couple more here. Next one's going to float us all the way through to the other side. Moment to land. Use your breath to open up the side body and spin the chest up toward the sky. And then go ahead with your circles if you wish. Syncing breath with your movement. Inhaling as you reach up and overhead. Exhaling as you sweep across. more. The next one's going to sweep us all the way through to the other side, and just keep rocking side to side. You can continue with your arms up and overhead like this. You can also reach the arms in front of you and then peel the chest open as you land. Keep it going for a few breaths. Just one more time. And then we're going to come into an easy forward fold. So you might just have fingertips on the earth. Some of you might bring forearms down to the ground. You're welcome to use blocks here. Perhaps you relax the head and neck. And just take a few deep breaths into the back side of the body. Might feel good to shift your weight from one arm to the other and rotate in the torso from side to side. You can always be still for just a couple more breaths. With an inhale, slowly uncurl back toward the feet and take a moment there. Let's shift to all fours from here. So find hands and knees. Spread your fingers nice and wide, hands underneath your shoulders, knees under your hips. And here you can choose what feels good. You might round your hips in circles a few times, really tracing the edges of your mat here. You can always linger with the hips to the back corners of your mat, maybe half circles. And you can also play with tucking the toes, lowering the hips to the heels by pressing into the hands and sending the tailbone back. Option rock side to side with the toes tucked, or maybe just forward and back a few times. A couple more moments, just warming up. And then we're going to find hands and knees. Go ahead and stack hands over shoulders, knees under hips. And actually, let's get into the wrists. So turn the thumbs to the top of your mat, fingers to the sides. You're going to rock from side to side here with a neutral spine. I like to relax the head completely, letting any tension just roll off your back. Notice how it feels. Maybe draw circles with the shoulders around the base of the wrists here. And again, you can choose the size and speed of the circles and what feels good in your body. If you are circling, go ahead and spin the opposite direction. Once you've had enough of that, option to flip one palm up to the sky. Fingers are either pointing to the other hand, or you're going to rotate them back toward the knees. Back of the wrist is all the way down here, so we're not just on the knuckles, doing your best to flatten the hand. Elbow might be bent. And you can play with opening and closing your fingers. And then we'll switch sides. So opposite palm flips to the sky, fingers pointing to the other hand or back toward your body. Option to play with the movement and the fingers. And then release that. Find your way to kneeling. And you're welcome to stay tall on the knees here. Some of you might curl the toes under, lower hips to heels. You can sit on blocks. We'll be here for a few breaths. So interlace your hands, press the palms away from you. Start to spread the shoulder blades apart. Tuck the chin, keep reaching through the palms here. And as you breathe in, you're going to reach the arms high. Option to come high onto the knees. Keep reaching through the palms. And then option to keep the bind as you rock over to one side. Notice here if your chest is rotating down to the ground, if you can spiral the chest open, crowning that top armpit to the sky. And then inhale slowly back to center and exhale to the opposite side. We're going to rock side to side a few times, moving slow, allowing the core to Encourage your body back to center. One more time each way. Do your best not to rush through it here, but linger in the stretch. Last one. As you arrive back at center, release your hands, palms forward, elbows nice and wide. Hold this chest open or squeeze your shoulder blades in toward one another. Slide them down the back away from the ears. And on the next inhale, reach up, interlace the hands, press the palms to the sky. And as you exhale, palms forward, shoulder blades spread, just the upper back round slightly. Another breath here. You're slightly tucking your tailbone, pulling the belly in towards you. And with an inhale, arms to the sky. And as you exhale, release the hands, elbows nice and wide. This time, inhale, reach up. And as you exhale, option to clasp your hands behind your back. If you have a strap or a towel here, even a t-shirt could work. You can use it to extend your reach. Otherwise, hands interlace, knuckles drive down, upper chest opens. Feel that space in the upper chest. Maybe look forward or float the chin a little bit here. And you can totally stay tall or fold with your exhale at the hips and lift the arms away from the body. Top of the head might come onto the earth. If so, you're not jumping a bunch of weight on the head here. Keep it light. Few deep breaths. To release, you're going to slowly rise the same way you arrived. Go ahead and undo the hands. If it feels good in your body to sit back on the heels, palms can face the sky. Option to close your eyes and just turn inward for a couple breaths. And just notice what you notice. From here, you're invited to shift into embryo pose or child's pose. Embryo pose, knees stay closer together. Arms are going to come back by your hips, heavy on the ground. Front of the shoulders melting down toward the mat. Your forehead might touch as well. You're welcome to support it. You can be still here as you take those expansive belly breaths. You can also rock a little side to side in the hips. Take a couple more breaths, feeling the back of your body. Create more space between the vertebrae on the breath in. And feel that softening in the belly and chest with your exhale. Just an optional layer. You can stay as you are in embryo pose. You like to play with a rabbit pose. You might curl your toes under, tuck your toes here. You're going to grab the outer edges of the feet with your hands, and then use your hands to pull onto your feet, tuck the tailbone down to the heels, and come onto the very top of your head. It may or may not touch the earth here. You're doing your best to round the spine, really accentuate that curve, drawing shoulder blades away from one another for a couple of breaths. And when you're ready to release, you might come back to embryo pose by untucking the toes, letting the arms be heavy. Taking a deep breath in and even deeper breath out. Alternatively, if you're ready to shift into extended child's pose, widen your knees, connect the toes, and reach the arms to the top edge of your mat. Few more full breaths. Option for a little wiggle in your hips. Perhaps palms flip to the sky and forearms press down into the ground. Actively reaching out the fingertips while keeping your arms straight. Feel like you're pulling elbows in the direction of your knees. And And we're going to plant the palms and come back through to all fours and play with thread the needle. So knees are going to start under the hips. Go ahead and lift the left arm up toward the sky. You can look in that direction, maybe add some wrist circles. And as you exhale, thread that arm underneath you. If you can, you're coming all the way down to your shoulder and cheek. You can come onto the right fingertips by your face and use that hand to press down into the ground, spinning your chest away from the earth. Continue to press down through the bottom forearm. And without moving, feel like you're dragging the bottom arm underneath the body. You can keep the top hand where it is. You can also walk your fingertips to the top of the mat. Some of you might stay here or reach that arm up toward the sky, encouraging the space across the chest. And last but not least, you can wrap that top arm behind your back for a half bind, peeling open that upper front shoulder. And sticking with a few more breaths here. When you're ready to release, top hand grounds down by your face. Unravel and sweep the bottom arm back up to the sky. And then exhale back to center. Take it to the other side. Inhale, reach the right arm high, option for those wrist circles. And as you exhale, you're reaching that arm all the way underneath and through, coming onto your shoulder and cheek. Press down with that bottom forearm. Intent the left fingertips. Press the earth away. And encourage your chest to rotate away from the ground. Take whatever variations with the arms here feels good. To the top of the mat. Up to the sky. Perhaps behind your back. Then exhale, gently release, top hand grounds down, bottom arm unravels back to the ceiling, and then exhale back to all fours. Do a couple rounds of cat and cow, initiating that movement with your tailbone. Lift the tail, lower the belly, open the chest. And on the exhale, tuck your tail, pull the belly in, actively press down into the ground, even the tops of your feet. Repeat that one vertebrae at a time. Inhale, belly drops. Feel as though you're pulling your chest forward. And as you exhale, tailbone curls under. Feel as though you're trying to slide your fingers to the top of your mat, broad in the upper back. Couple more. Super slow cat and cow. Moving in sync with your breath. One more breath. Take your time. Once you complete that breath, come back to a neutral spine. Let's straighten the left leg to the back of the mat, toes grounded. Drive through that heel until you feel a stretch at the back of your leg. Perhaps rock toward your toes. Couple breaths. And then from here, you're going to float that leg, maybe point and flex the foot, rotate the ankle. Go ahead and flex the toes down to the ground and send the opposite arm forward. Lengthening your breath as you lengthen your body. You're still pressing down into the ground with the hand and the opposite shin. Hold and breathe. We're going to lower just your hand. Take the floating leg and place it all the way to the opposite side of your mat. You're going to look over the right shoulder toward that back foot and notice if you can stack your heel directly over your toes. Press down through the hands without moving. Pretend your hands are on a steering wheel here. You're trying to make a hard left turn. Another expansive breath. Go ahead and release back to center. Take it off. Cat and cow. Maybe sideways cat, cow. And then go ahead with the right foot to the back of the mat. Lengthen through the heel. Maybe wake up your toes. Option to lift your leg to hip level. Point and flex at the foot. Rotation. And then keep that leg active, flexing the toes down, pressing the hands into the ground. Opposite arm can reach forward. Long inhale, even longer body. Notice if you can slow your breathing down here as you lengthen from head to toes. And then we're going to lower just your hand. Floating toes are going to shift to the opposite edge of your mat. We're looking over the other shoulder this time, still pressing through that back heel, breathing space into both sides of your body. And without moving, press the hands down and feel like you're taking a hard right turn in the opposite direction of where you're looking. Gently release, come back to center, shake it off. And then I'll have you come onto your forearms here. You can turn the forearms or palms rather up toward the sky, and then start to walk your knees back and melt your chest down to the ground. So just a slight variation of puppy pose. If you prefer to have palms on the ground, that's cool too. Your head may or may not touch here. It's not important. But keep pressing into the arms, lengthening through the tailbone, and expanding your breath. One more breath here. And go ahead and plant the palms. You're going to slither forward to Sphinx pose. So come onto your belly. Make any adjustments you need to have your shoulders over your elbows. Press down through the forearms and then energetically try to pull yourself forward through the top of the mat. Trying to open the upper chest. Activate your legs by pressing down through the tops of the feet. And curl the tailbone ever so slightly down toward your heels. One more breath. As you exhale, we'll shift to downward facing dog. Take a few breaths in your down dog to move in whatever ways you need. You got lots of options here. Bending one leg, straightening the other, repeating that a few times. Maybe launching forward to your plank position and back to your dog. Bend your knees a lot and ripple forward in the spine, kind of like cat pose here, starting at the tailbone, rippling through the mid back and upper back as you shift forward. Couple of breaths. Or simply choose stillness or even a little rotation in the hips and chest. Another breath to do you. And on the next inhale, gaze forward, bring the feet closer to your hands. Stay in a forward fold with a generous bend in your knees. You can hook your arms at your elbows. Relax the upper body, maybe add a little sway in the torso or nodding of your head. And we're going to release the arms and slowly uncurl all the way to standing. And once you arrive, take a moment here to round your circles, your shoulders in circles. And spin the opposite way as well. And start to really ground down through the feet. Take a breath in, reach around and up with the hands, and then exhale, hands to your heart. One more time with a forward fold. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend at the knees, hinge at the hips, and fold. Inhale, halfway lift here. Hands might be on your shins. If you can feel the muscles along your spine working here, great. If you want to access them a little more easily, press your hands into your upper thighs and notice how it feels to squeeze your elbows in toward the ribs. That helps activate those muscles, lengthening all sides of the neck here. And on the breath out, fold once again. Inhale back to your standing, reach up. Exhale, hands to your heart. One more deep breath in. On the exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Just flat back for just a breath. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale all the way to standing, ground down through the feet, reach high through the fingers. Exhale, hands to heart center. We're adding a kneeling lunge next. Deep breath in and exhale, fold. Inhale halfway. And on the exhale, hands come down, right foot steps back. Go ahead and land on that knee gently. Hands can start on the front thigh. And then I'm going to have you spin on that back knee so the foot comes behind you like a kickstand. You can adjust the position of the front foot. And you want to start with the heel a little farther away from you. So as you lunge into that front leg, you've got space to shift forward. And you can play around with the position of the front foot. The closer it is to you, the more you're going to work on ankle mobility, which is not a bad thing. The farther it's from you, the more you're going to get deep into your hips. So hands can stay on the hips here if you like. You can also play with a kneeling version of Warrior Two, reaching the arms over where the ankles would be. Couple of breaths. And you're welcome to keep this dynamic, or you can hold at whatever your end range looks like. Couple breaths. Nice. Go ahead and bring hands back to the hips. You're going to pivot back to how you started. So bring that back foot behind you, maybe front foot a little closer to you. Arms are going to reach up with a breath in. And on the exhale, palms forward, elbows wide. Inhale, reach it high. Exhale, repeat that. Expand across the chest. This time, inhale, reach up. And then exhale, bring that right hand down, maybe across from the front foot. If you've got a block here and want to use it, that's great. You can stay in a kneeling twisted lunge and or tuck the back toes and lengthen the back of the knee up toward the sky. Feel your arms spread nice and wide. You can be here. You can also wrap that top arm behind your back to the opposite hip, and then use that connection to open the front of the upper chest. As you exhale, gently release. Bring your hands to the inside of the front foot and take your front foot wide. You can come onto the back knee. If you've got blocks, this can be a helpful place to use them. You can start on a lower setting or slightly higher. Do your best to have that front shin vertical here and really press down through your big toe, pinky toe base of the heel. Notice how it feels to squeeze the front knee in toward your body. And then maybe do the opposite. Flex the front toes and open the knee wide. So just to give you that front view, same thing here. You're hugging the knee in towards you or opening the knee away from you. And we'll do that just a couple of times. Pressing down through that front foot. Reaching the heart forward. And the next time you've got that foot grounded, keep it there. You might come higher onto your blocks for this next one. You're going to tuck the back toes and then drive the back knee straight. Start to straighten the front knee, and we're just going to bend and extend that front knee a few times. Heart reaching forward, tailbone reaching up and back. And if you don't have blocks, you can be on fingertips here. You can also have hands on the base of a chair for support. So you might be up a little higher. Maybe one or two more. And again, you can always linger in this stretch. And when you're ready to release, go ahead and reset, maybe through all fours as you make your way back to downward facing dog. Couple breaths as you arrive in down dog, and just notice what you notice here. one side of the body and the other. Inhale, look forward, step the right foot forward, back knee down, and hands to that front thigh. So for this one, you're going to spin that back knee so the foot comes behind you. Perhaps adjust the front toes, knees and toes to the top of the mat. Hands can begin on the hips, and we're going to lunge in toward that front knee a few times. And you're doing your best to keep your chest upright. So there's a tendency to kind of lean forward here. I want you to keep your chest nice and proud, shoulders over your hips. We'll do that a few times. Another thing to look out for is that front knee sometimes wants to cave in toward the big toe side. So instead, keep tracking knee over toe rather than letting that knee fall inward. Couple more. And again, arms can be reaching over where the ankles would be, a kneeling warrior two. Beautiful. One more time this side. And then you're going to rewind. So just come back to your regular kneeling lunge, chest and hips facing forward. Arms going to sweep up by your ears on the breath in. And then exhale, chest opens, elbows expand. Repeat, deep breath in. Exhale, open. This time, inhale, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, left hand can come down across from that front foot. You have the option to use a block. You can keep that back knee down or straighten that back leg as best you can. Arms might continue to spread wide with the gaze up toward the top hand. You can also wrap that top arm behind you, using the connection of the back of the wrist on the back of the opposite hip to open the upper chest even more. And do your best to breathe smoothly here. And then exhale, release. Top hand comes to the inside of the front foot. You're widening that front foot as you lower the back knee. Here's where your blocks might come in handy. You can find a height that feels good. Hands about under shoulders or a little out in front. Go ahead and press down through that front big toe and maybe squeeze the knee in toward the body. Perhaps the opposite feels good, flexing the foot in toward the shin and rolling to that pinky toe edge. You can do a bit of both. Noticing how it feels to just encourage opening in all the different wonderful areas of our hips. Another round or a couple of breaths. For the next one, you're going to keep that front foot nice and grounded. You might come higher onto your blocks here. You're going to tuck the back toes, straighten the back knee, and then focus on bending and extending just the front leg. Doing your best to reach your heart forward the entire time, even as the hips shift up and back. And again, you can keep this moving. You can hold the stretch at either end range. Couple of breaths. And on the next one, go ahead and release, reset in downward facing dog. Option to come through hands and knees. And take a breath as you arrive. Inhale, lift the right leg up and back, and then turn the front of the hips open to the long side of your mat. Top leg can stay straight as you reach actively through the heel, or you can bend at the knee and squeeze that heel in toward your butt. Next breath and look forward. Step the foot through between the hands. Back heel comes down. Find your warrior two. So similar to that kneeling version, lunge in toward the front leg, arms reaching over ankles. We'll take one more lunge here. As you inhale, arms can reach up, and then exhale back to warrior two. Do that again. Inhale, reach high. And then exhale, lunge forward. Now keep the legs here and reverse your arms. Right arm reaches up and back, opening through that side body. Exhale to your extended side angles. The forearm might rest on the front thigh. Top arm can sweep up by the ear, chest peeling open. With an inhale, rise back upright. Exhale, take it down to the ground, step the front foot back, maybe pause in your push-up, find that strength. You can totally lower to the knees and then make your way down to the belly. Option for Sphinx pose or another back bend for a few breaths. In Sphinx, you're actively trying to slide forward here using the forearms on the earth, activating the entire back body by pressing the legs down. And on the next breath out, let's meet in downward facing dog. Take it to the other side. As you breathe in, lift the left leg up and back. Rotate the front of the hips open. Top leg either stays straight or bends at the knee. Inhale, look forward, step that foot through and find your warrior two. So again, lunging in toward that front knee, arms reaching over your ankles. We'll add a couple lunges on this side. So inhale to straighten and reach high. Exhale, return, warrior two. Once more, inhale, reach. And exhale, lunge. Keep the legs here, reverse your warrior, left arm high. Still lunging in toward that front knee. And then exhale to your extended side angle, maybe forearm on the front thigh. Top arm sweeps up by the ear and chest rotates open away from the earth. As you inhale, rise back upright. Exhale, take it down to the ground. Pause in your push-ups. And then your choice, with or without the knees. Shift forward, lower down to the earth. Find your back bend of choice. Maybe continue with Sphinx. And tune into your breath. For this next one, if you're using blocks, you might set the blocks up on their tallest setting, about shoulder wide. We'll start in downward facing dog. As you breathe in, you're going to lift the right leg up and back. And then exhale, plant the foot between the hands. Go ahead and step the back foot in and then come up to standing. So feet are about a stride length apart. Let's inhale to reach the arms up. And on the exhale, lean forward, reaching through the fingertips, lengthening out the tailbone, keeping that nice flat back. You can use your blocks here and bring blocks to the outer edges of that front foot. You can also have fingertips on the earth if that feels accessible as you round your nose toward your knee. And take a few breaths here. Doing your best to soften on the breath out. And on an inhale, let's look forward. Here you can bring the blocks with you to the top of the mat out in front of you. We're going to come into supported warrior three. So shift your weight into the front foot. Start to float the back leg parallel to the earth. Back toes are flexing down to the ground. You can even peek at the back foot, make sure they're pointing down. If you feel like your blocks are too close to that front foot, take them a little farther out in front of you so you have space to lengthen here. Hands can remain on the blocks the entire time. You can play with floating or coming onto your fingertips and lightening the load on the hands. Couple breaths. Some of you might stay here, but if you want to play with that transition into half moon, you're going to keep your right hand perhaps on a block, slightly out in front of that right foot at a diagonal. Left hand can come onto the top of the left hip, and you're rotating the hips open here. So front of the hips are peeling open to the long edge of your mat. We're still reaching through the heel, grounding down through the standing toes. It's okay to wiggle and wobble here as you recalibrate. As you release, we're coming into a forward fold near the top of the mat. Take a moment, maybe fold, release hands to the earth or keep them on blocks. You can use your peace fingers here to hook onto your big toes. It's helpful to have the feet about hip wide. Option for your half lift, reaching the heart forward. And as you exhale, pull the top of the head down toward the ground, bow out the elbows, and relax your head and neck. And then gently release your grip. Uncurl your way to standing. As you inhale, reach the arms all the way around and up. And exhale, hands to your heart. We're just going to switch sides here. You're going to take the right foot and step that foot back. So starting with your feet about a stride length apart. As you breathe in, reach the arms all the way up. Find that length. And then exhale, tilt forward with a nice flat back, pressing down through the front big toe. Take another inhale as you lengthen here. And on the exhale, option to bring hands to your blocks on the outside of that front foot and or fingertips on the ground as you fold forward, nose toward the front knee. A couple of those nice expansive breaths. Then we'll transition into our supported warrior 3. So blocks are going to come with you farther out in front of that front foot. You're going to float the back leg as you flex the toes down to the ground. Lift your heart. So you're trying to create a T shape with the body. Notice how heavy you are on the hands. Perhaps you can lighten the load slightly by coming onto your fingertips. Couple breaths here. And if you want to play with half moon on this side, you're going to ground down through the left hand. Make sure that hand is slightly out at a diagonal on the left side rather than underneath you. Right hand can come to the right hip, and then you're rotating the right hip to stack on top of the left. Notice your toes will rotate in the back foot from the pointing down to the ground to the long side of the mat in the direction that your chest is facing. Couple breaths here. And as you're ready, we're coming back to our forward fold at the top of the mat. Option to keep hands on blocks or take gorilla pose by sliding the palms underneath your feet until the toes meet the creases of your wrists. I like to massage my wrist with my feet here, give them a little extra love and those nice deep belly breaths. You can release the hands one by one, and once again, uncurl your way to standing. At the top, option to take a deep breath in, arms reach around and up. And you can come into a squat here, and feel free to do a supported squat with the blocks. So widen the feet as much as you need to and start to sink the hips low. You can totally stay higher on the blocks. Hands can be on thighs here. You can drop the hips a little lower, maybe sit on blocks if you prefer. And you can rock a little side to side, just getting into, again, all those wonderful ways our hips can move for just a couple of breaths. And if you prefer, you can be still, hands at the heart, maybe using your elbows to encourage the knees to open wider, while simultaneously using your glutes to encourage the knees to expand apart. Take another breath. And then however you want to get there, we're getting onto our back. So you can come all the way onto the earth. And once you arrive, knees can be pulled into your chest. You might draw circles with your knees, nice and slow. A few times one way. And then the opposite. We're going to take a twist here so you can ground down through your feet. Option to cross your right thigh on top of the left leg. You're going to scoot your hips a little bit to the right edge of the mat and then twist both legs over to the left. Here you can take your arms wide like a T, or if you're short on space, cactus the arms, they're bending at the elbows. And if you like the legs crossed and you're looking for more sensation, you can squeeze the legs together, maybe go for a double bind. If that's not serving you, simply stack the knees, hips and ankles at a 90-degree bend. And wherever you are, focus on those expansive breaths. And noticing if you can soften the back of the shoulder blades down into the earth. Perhaps closing the eyes, softening the muscles in the jaw. And just allowing yourself to be here in this moment. One more breath on this side. When you're ready, using an inhale, gently unravel onto your back. Might feel good to bring the knees back into your chest and reset the spine. Maybe take individual circles with the knees. So you can bring knees in toward you, away from you, and then away from one another. Sort of tracing your thigh bones around the hip sockets. And you can rotate those circles the opposite direction. And then we're going to ground down through both feet. Go ahead and cross the left thigh on top of the right. This time, scoot your hips a little to the left first, and then twist both legs to the right. And that helps keep your spine in a straight line. Find what works with the arms, nice and wide, or cactusing the elbows. You might gaze up at the ceiling or rotate the head opposite the knees. And you're taking those deep breaths. Noticing where you can relax and release. Maybe 1 or 2 more moments on this side. When you're ready, use a breath in to unravel back onto your back. Perhaps bring knees into your chest. Rock it out side to side in whatever way you choose. And another option is for your happy baby here. Knees nice and wide. Soles of the feet lift to the sky. Option to grab your hamstrings here from the outside edges of the legs. Maybe reach for the ankles and pull the knees down to earth. I like to hold on to the ankles and then use the inside, the elbows to press the inside of the knees open wider. And then add your rocking motion with a nice flat back. Perhaps play with some ninja baby, straightening one leg, bending the opposite. You're welcome to just explore what feels good in your body for the next minute or so. Whenever you feel complete, we're just going to give ourselves a little love. Wrap the arms around your legs. Forehead can come closer to the knees. Maybe scrunch your face. Float the shoulder blades off the ground if you give yourself a squeeze. And then relax and release. Extending the legs. Relaxing the arms by your sides. Allowing the feet to soften open away from each other. And maybe taking one more intentional breath in through your nose and letting it all go. Really dropping in to the support of the earth beneath you. Feeling the heaviness of the entire back of your body. Letting the body melt into your mat. Just notice if there's anywhere else you can relax. Oftentimes we're unnecessarily clenching our jaws. Might notice your tongue clinging to the roof of your mouth. If so, release it and allow it to just float. Allow the body to become heavier with each breath out. I'll let you soak up these next few moments in quiet and stillness. We'll let you know when it's time. If you're ready to make moves, start with that expansive breath down into the belly. And if you feel a softening in the body, perhaps wake up the movements, the little movements in the fingers and toes, gradually making those movements larger in the wrists and ankles. And maybe taking that full body stretch, arms overhead, pointing and flexing your feet. And if you feel like bending at the knees and starting to roll over to your favorite side, might pause in a fetal position. Eyes can remain closed. And ever so gently start to press yourself back upright, where we'll close for one more breath all together. Take your time to find that nice long spine. Go ahead and empty all the air from your lungs and take a fresh breath in through the nose, option for hands together at the heart. And then exhale completely. Thank you all for showing up and sharing your practice. Until next time, namaste.